So this is what I call the entrepreneur's impact multiplier. And so what we're going to do today is, help you to start to free up time, get your week back under your control. And big thing is make a bigger and better personal impact in your business so that you can break through, your growth ceiling. Right? So there's no radical changes that are required, just simple common sense changes that enables you to leverage your time and compound your impact. They're simple, but they're actually profound. I can tell you that. And then I'll share with you the steps and tools to accomplish better results by mastering the use of your time, and in the process, change your personal game plan for the better. So I want to start here with the 5-stage model. So the 5-stage model is a process that, sorry, Dave Howells just entered. So let me just get Dave in. Hello, David. Okay, he's dropped off. Right. Okay, so guys, the 5-stage model, right? There are 5 stages that every business goes through. Right? And each stage of growth has got some very predictable challenges that must be overcome to go to the next stage, right? So it all starts with that infancy stage where you start up. It's all about proving that your business is actually viable. It's about creating the products that people want. It's about the business model. It's about positioning your products and services to the right client base so that they buy from you, right? If you get that into place, the next stage is what I call helter-skelter. And that's really about selling. Sales in that phase, right? And yeah, the owner is basically driving the entire process. And I call this person the Euro owner, the Euro leader. And it starts to hire people to help increase his personal leverage. Right? So, starting to do too much. So he needs somebody to help him do the books, get somebody to do the books. Can't handle the packaging, and so get somebody to do the packaging, etc. The idea there is to get as much sales as possible, and to reach a steady cash flow. I just want to say hello to David. David, can you hear us? I think you're on mute, David. Okay, this helter-skelter stage is where most businesses get stuck. So usually that's with a business owner, maybe up to 10 type of people directly reporting to the person. Often, a turnover 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 million rand type of level, and that business owner gets pretty busy and starts to get overloaded. From there, the next phase, and this is where people struggle to get through, is to go through to the order phase. And unless you're able to get to the order phase, what happens is that this Euro leader in the helter-skelter stage starts to burn out and either scales down and goes back to something that's a little bit more manageable, or is able to make the breakthrough to the next level, which is this order phase. And in the order phase, you start to hire people to start taking the load off you as the business owner. And you start to organize according to functions like marketing, that kind of stuff. Take the marketing off my shoulders and so on. And you're well into the order phase when you have 2 or more of your 5 core pillars. You've got leaders in them, and your core pillars on the left there are sales and marketing, your finance, your operations, your people team, your executive leadership, right? So you might get somebody that starts to look after finance for you, and let's say operations for you, to free up more and more of your time. This phase, you're getting really structured and ordered. That's really what it's about, so that you can have repeatable, consistent throughput. But at the same time, moving from helter-skelter to order means you have to invest a little bit more in people and systems and so on, which means there's an increased focus now on profitability as well. Getting through that phase, the next phase is the orchestrate phase, and that's usually when you get to about 250 people, somewhere around there. Okay. Yeah, you start focusing on throughput, you start focusing on the silos, marketing, operations, logistics, all these things that you've created, and you've got to balance these things out with the demand that's coming in through the market, right? So we're not really going to cover that, and if you sort that out, then it's really about scaling, because you've then got a machine that works. And it's just about finding more and more business in the front end to get into the machine, right? So the question that I have, and I sent you the workbooks, I hope you managed to get those workbooks, is to ask you, which phase do you think you're in? Are you in the infancy phase? Are you in the helter-skelter phase, etc.? Where does your current strategic focus lie? So I want you to think a little bit about that and maybe just tick where you are at the moment. And then the second thing is, where should you be focusing? Are you focusing on the right thing? So in other words, if you're on that helter-skelter stage and you're really overloaded, you're overwhelmed, there's a ton of work to do, you just don't have enough time anymore, then your focus should really be on that order phase. If you've just entered the helter-skelter stage, right, then obviously your focus should be on that helter-skelter stage. But I'd like to just get a quick sense of where you think you are with that. So Makalani, can I ask you maybe just to give a quick sense of where you are?
Okay, Peter. I'm now on the infancy stage.
Right.
Okay. I would
Okay.
like to believe, but because of the challenges that I experienced earlier, I was actually at the helter-skelter stage. But I have to, scale everything down, and I think I'm on the infancy stage. Now I need to move to helter-skelter stage.
Okay. Right. Okay.
That's where my focus would be, yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. David, I don't know if you can hear me. Any thoughts on...
I came in a bit late. I just saw your email this morning, and I thought it'd be good to listen here.
No problem.
We probably we've been going for about 4 years, but very much in the infancy, helter-skelter area. So we've got something, and I thought that's why I like to sit in and hear these different things. We obviously need to scale, but that's why I thought it would be pertinent to understand some of your thoughts, because we're probably all over, and the founder keeps nailing and hounding me to get focused, because we're obviously talking to different investors. But the important thing is to get the brand further out there and obtain wider orders is the thing that I'm trying to focus on now.
Right. Okay. So it sounds like you're smack bang in that helter-skelter stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Sales, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, awesome. Doug, do you want to give a view? I know you're working with various businesses.
Yeah, Peter, I think I'm with 5 operations at the moment. None of them are in infancy. They've all been, way out of that side. But they're between helter-skelter in some of them and close to order in the others. So they're hovering in and out of both at the moment, I think.
Hovering, and that transition is a really difficult one to do.
It's to break, using your wording, it's to break through that ceiling to order now.
Yeah. Okay, super, guys. Let's move on. So you've got that, you've got that ticked. So to break through that ceiling is tough. So I'm going to try and change your mind about how you're going to spend your next 90 days, your time in the next 90 days. I'm going to do my best to change your mind around that, right? So it's really about breaking through that ceiling. It starts with you've got to change your personal game, right? So make sure, and the benefits are you get more time, more focus, more control, and more impact, and maintain mental health while scaling up, because we know, especially that helter-skelter phase you can be working all kinds of crazy hours, right? So my big aha moment with this was to realize that in the modern economy, results are no longer dependent on the business owner time and effort put in, right? Now, I'm not saying, don't have a good work ethic. I'm all for that. But I'm saying if you want to break through that ceiling, you've got to recognize this reality, right? When we focus on time and effort, in other words, we just work harder, we double down on the next thing. That's a situation where people are rewarded for their time put in and effort, the effort given, and the attitude that they brought to the party, right? And the reality is, as business owners and entrepreneurs, you probably also find your mindsets are this, because this is the way most of us have been brought up, right? Been told, you must put in the hours if you want success. You can have anything you want if you just work hard enough, for it. Put sweat equity into the business, right? If you want something done right, do it yourself. Success comes from outworking your competition. All these things are drummed into us over a period of time, so that we could be useful and productive and so on. But in the next level of growth, so if you want to get through that helter-skelter phase to the order phase, you've got to realize that you succeed by creating value for your company. And it's not linked to time and effort, especially in this modern economy. So let me give you an example of what I mean by that. Let's say you got 4 hours available on a Wednesday morning, right? What's going to be the most valuable use of those 4 hours? You could be caught up reading and answering your emails. 3/4 of them, probably 90% of them are going to be low value emails. Responding to messages, doing admin, firefighting, attending unproductive meetings, etc. We all get a lot of that kind of stuff, right? Or you could spend the 4 hours with a good prospect that results in a new client and brings in new income. Or you can spend those same 4 hours with a strategic partner that results in an introduction to 20 new clients this year, right? Same 4 hours, different value, different impact. Okay? So the secret sauce here is to recognize that you need to focus on those fewer, higher value things that make a magnified contribution to your business's growth. Knowing that by focusing on less, you can actually accomplish a lot more and break through that ceiling a lot quicker. Right? So the key is that understanding this concept is simply not good enough to achieve success. The reality is it's easy to understand, but you must practice it, right? And our behaviors are driven from the model that we carry around in our heads. We all have this model, right? So, you need to ask yourself firstly, openly and honestly, which mental model are you working from? Do you think if I want things done, I've got to do it myself? Okay, if I want success, I must put in the hours. Do you reward your people for effort or attitude, or do you reward them for actual results, irrespective of the effort and attitude? Right? Do you monitor and manage their time, right? Or do you monitor and manage the outcomes that are produced? And often with business owners, do you wear your 18 hours days as a badge of honor? So if you answered yes to any of these things, then you've really got to sit down and rethink your mental model, because you're going to have to change that. You're going to have to firstly recognize it, and then secondly, you're going to have to change that. So how do we do that, right? So there are 4 steps. I'm going to take you through the steps, and we'll do a little practical exercise as well. Right? There are 4 steps. It's going to give you more time. It's going to allow you to get a hell of a lot more impact and a lot less stress in your business. So the first thing you've got to do is you've got to refocus your efforts on your highest value activities. Just like that example that I've shown you, right? If you spend 4 hours every week on a Wednesday morning, or 2 hours, looking through emails, doing all the low value stuff, and you had replaced those very same 2 hours every week to work with a new JV partner, your business would look very, very different, right? So the idea is focus on highest value activities. The second thing then is you're going to say, but I don't have the time. I'm so busy, I never have the time for this kind of stuff. I've got a long list of stuff I need to do. Well, you need to reclaim your best time. I'm going to show you how to do that. Free up some time so that you can take that time and invest the time in your highest value activities. Yeah. Then the third thing is you need to structure your week and day to be more predictable and to keep a focus on the things that matter most, those high value activities, right? So in other words, this is to help you ditch the chaos, right? And then the fourth thing is you consistently make this a habit and routine to drive your company's growth. Okay. So step number 1, focus on your highest value activities and focus on the things that energize you the most, right? We all got a list of things that we hate doing, right? You want to refocus your time on the things that fascinate you, that energize you, that you love, but that are high value activities for your business. And so, we apply the 80-20, the good old 80-20 rule, right? So 20% of what you do every day is generating 80% of your results. You're only doing a few things daily that adds the most value. What we want to do is start crowding out the lower value stuff, the 80%, and we want to crowd in more of the 20%, so that it goes to 70-30 and 60-40 and so on, right? So here's the tool that I use, and this is in your workbook as well. So we're going to do a little exercise in a minute or so. Focus on your highest value activities, the things that you love to do and that energize you. So the first thing you need to do is you need to do a little bit of an audit of how you spend your time during a week or maybe 2 weeks or so, right? And you want to categorize your time, your actual time that you've spent, into these 4 categories. Right? Category 1 is the low value, the under-leveraged, the wasteful time, the irritating stuff. Right? Category 2 stuff is it's important stuff. It's stuff you can't get away from, must-do work that must be done as efficiently as possible. So it could be some compliance stuff in certain industries. or it could be certain, meetings with staff that you must have, and so on, right? But you want to do that as efficiently as possible. Category 3 is value creating work. It usually earns revenue, earns you money, but it's not necessarily what we call leveraged. It's like that person sitting with a client for 4 hours that's going to, bring in new revenue. That's a category 3 type activity, but it's not leveraged. Category 4 is high leverage value creating work that's motivating, right, and energizing. And what I mean by leveraged here is, those 4 hours, instead of spending it with a potential client, if you spend it with a joint venture partner who could bring in 20 new clients for you, that's leveraging those 20 hours in a big way. Right? So here's an old value of time assessment that I previously did, right? So my category 1 stuff would have been low-level emails, would have been, unsolicited interruptions, these phone calls that we get from insurance companies and wherever. Okay? Working on the look and feel of content, like this presentation, right? I know what the content should be, but then the look and feel somebody else can do. Having poorly qualified prospect meetings, cleaning up CRM databases, stuff like that. That's, for me, is category 1 kind of work. Category 2 work would be, overruns on client sessions, doing compliance work, internal meetings. That's sort of category 2 work. Category 3 would be sales meetings or, developing new content for marketing, or cross-selling and upselling, or reactivating, old clients. That could be category 3. And for me, category 4 work, my best time, the things that are going to be the most leveraged, would be developing new products and services, or creating automated marketing funnels, or doing one-to-many marketing, or creating joint venture partnerships, as I used in that particular example. Now, with each type of business, it differs, right? What your category 1, 2, 3, and especially what your category 4 is. And as you start to grow your business, what you'll find is your category 4 eventually becomes category 3 stuff. And you actually have new, bigger opportunities that become your new category 4, things, right? So, if a joint, establishing joint venture partnerships with other partners who could, introduce 100 new clients to you is category 4 at this point. Maybe you reach a size so big that those joint venture partners are actually quite small. The next category might be meeting with major influencers who have, who have lists of like 30, 40, 50,000 people that could introduce your products and services to them and bring in many, many more times business, right? So that would become your new category 4. Right? So what I'd like you guys to do in, let me just move it right. What I'd like you guys to do, and it's in that workbook, is firstly just to think a few minutes of what your Cat 1, 2, 3, 4 is, and then to take an estimate, and you can work this during the week, of how much time you're currently spending in each category. So usually the category 4 is a low percentage. It might be 2% or 5%, right? I've just put 10 as an example. Category 3 might be 30%, category 4, 40, category 1, 20, or category 1 can often be like 50%, right? But what you want to do over time is, in the next 90 days, is to shift that, right? Is to shift that. So you want to reduce, let's say, category 1 from, let's say, 20% to 10%, right? and the category 2 from 40% to 30%, as an example. That means that in category 3, you can add more time now because you've got more time. You need to reinvest that time into the higher value activities. So category 3, you might be able to go from 30 to 40%. And category 4, you might be able to go from 10 to 20%. And if you look at that, you've actually doubled your effectiveness in the business because you've gone from 10 to 20% in category 4, right? And it starts in small percentages, but over time, every 90 days, you want to be working more and more on category 3 and especially category 4 stuff. And you want to be doing less on category 1 and category 2. Right. So in your workbook, there's a page like this called the value maximizer. Right? And this is about focusing on, as I said, those fewer, better things. So what I'd like you to do is just take a few minutes. I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes and just think briefly about what is the cat 1 stuff you do, cat 2 stuff, cat 3, cat 4 stuff you do. And just get a sense, of that. And if you can, try and estimate those percentages, even though at this stage it's going to be very, very rough. You guys good with that? Take a few minutes.
Cool.
Do we do that on, or do we just write it down, Peter?
You can just write it down, Makalani. You can just write it down, just to get a sense of how your week is spent.
Okay, all right.
This can often be a real eye-opening exercise because we often don't realize how much time we're spending where. And the category 4 is a really important one because that's the one that is usually the most, neglected of the lot. Maybe give you another 30 seconds or so, and then even if you haven't got it 100%, I think it just to start getting you thinking about how you're allocating your time. Okay. Look, do you mind if I ask you for maybe a little bit of feedback, just your thoughts on that? What your initial sort of thoughts were on how you're spending your time? David, are you good to?
Well, it's a bit embarrassing. I mean, that's why I quite enjoyed when I read your email this morning quickly. I thought, Sherbet, this is probably very vital. The founder keeps nagging me on certain things, but then he's also getting distracted on various other things. So when you look at this currently at this point in time, I'd probably say, but the one question I'm trying to sort out labels and social media campaigns and different things like that, okay? because we tried to create brand awareness, but then we also in the throes of trying to present to an investor group, and he's almost telling me that should be the focus and not, but I'm saying we need to fix the label, we need to fix social media, we need to fix this. So I'm in between, and I'm talking to one or two of my contacts about opening up sales opportunities, but I'm not getting there because I'm saying I need to tidy up the label and I need to talk to the people about, or the design people to give us ideas and then determine which is the best one. And then also a social media person come website update, but that's probably, that's not that important. So that should be right at the back. But we need to get our brand awareness out there. So I should be putting those in category 4 and 3, but then I get told the label's not that important. It's getting the presentation ready for the investor type person, and when, because they 80 or 90% down the line and then my partner and I, the guy's son and I have to then maybe present to the group who want to get involved with us, and so that we tell them what our whole plan is. So he's saying that's number 1, but I'm saying at the same time, I'm also thinking about the label, to get a better label. Then 1 or 2 people tell me it's too busy. And so I'm in between. But your clarification here and your highlight does bring it right to the forefront, saying, Dave, what the hell is the most important things to do? I would say currently at the moment, distractions, 1, I wrote here, and I'm being circus, maybe I'm being conservative, I'm going 30, 40, 20, 10. Which is terrible.
30, 40, 20, 10. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Which is terrible but I believe sorting the label and the look and feel is probably vital to enhance the credibility, number 1, and an endorsement from getting the analysis done so we can get a Diabetic South Africa endorsement. And he's saying, well, that's not important. That can wait till all the finance is arranged. And in some ways that's correct. But at the same time, I'm saying, we should have done that some time back, the endorsements,
Yeah.
So that's why I'll say 30, 40, 20, 10 at this point in time.
Right. So if you're in that helter-skelter stage, right, then sales are usually the thing that you got to, that's bringing the revenue in, right?
Well, so that's what actually, that's spot on there. I'm now talking to 1 or 2 guys to elevate to scale up our current levels to slightly higher levels as well, and open the doors potentially to other opportunities.
Yeah. Now you can't do everything at once, right? So you're going to have to prioritize according to what's going to give you the most.
This probably was a good message to receive.
Yeah. And work on that first, right? Just work on that first, deliver 1 at a time. Yeah. Otherwise you spread yourself so thin, nothing really gets done.
That's
right?
that's exactly. I always used to tell my staff in the corporate world, if you got so many things on the go, you're only like touching the top of the coffee cup, the cream.
Yeah.
You're not digging down into the actual coffee, and that's where probably the importance is needed.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks, David. Makalani, have you got an idea about your allocation?
Peter. It's even more embarrassing from my side because I said I'm still in the infancy stage. So a lot of my focus is on the product.
Yep, should be. Yeah, that should.
So my percentage is 50, 30, 15, and 5.
Sorry, how much?
50, 30, 15, and 5.
5. Okay, so you're spending 50% of your time in that category 1, which is really low value activities.
Which is low value activities, yes.
Yeah, you really need to try and rearrange that over the next 90 days. I'm going to show you how, and change those percentages. Right.
All right.
Okay, great. So the second step here is then, how do you reclaim your best time? And so remember, you want to spend your best time on the highest value activities, right? And if you're in that helter-skelter stage, there are a couple of things that you can do. So if you're pretty loaded and busy, number one, try to delegate. And that doesn't necessarily mean you need to hire people. You could have, use a virtual assistant, or other people outside the company, but find somebody else to do the work, especially the low value work that you are doing. Get that off your plate. The second thing is, ask yourself the question, does it really need to get done? Yeah, and if the answer is no, then drop it. Just drop it. If it's not going to have a major consequence and it's just a nice to have, and we often got lots of those little things, delete, drop it. Okay. The third thing is, if it must get done, but it's not a top priority, right? Not your highest value thing, then defer it. Put it in the pecking order for, to be worked on, but not right now. Rather work on your highest value activities. And then the fourth thing is try and design it out. In other words, look at the process and see if you can change the process by which this work is being done. Is there another way to do it? Can you automate it? Can the process change that skips certain steps? Try and design it out so that it's not on your plate. And then create a stop doing list. So, what I found is you go through the day, and then you find yourself, let's say, in a meeting, and you're asking yourself a question, why am I in this meeting? Right? Put it on your stop doing list. No longer going to attend this meeting, somebody else is going to go, or no one's going to go. Or if you find yourself doing certain work that you shouldn't be doing, put that down on your stop doing list, right? And then become more efficient in your category 2 activities. Remember, those are things that you can't really get away from. They have to be done. So if you're going to have to do them, just do them as efficient as possible. So things like all meetings must have a purpose and agenda, otherwise I don't attend. I'm not coming for a chat show. Rather use collaboration technology than emails, right? Emails are a terrible way to collaborate. It's very old sort of technology. There's lots of even free software available, like Trello, Asana, a lot of other software where everybody can quickly log on. You can see the status of the project. You don't have to have a meeting about it. You can communicate with each other, almost like WhatsApp groups, that kind of thing, to collaborate without having all of those meetings and without using email. Okay. Plan better. I think that's it's a age-old one. Avoid duplication. Touch things once, right? So often we have something that lands on our plate, then we say, okay, well, do a little bit, then we'll put it off. If you can, touch it once. Get it done and out the way, because you've got to come back to it. You've got to rethink about what it was about, et cetera, et cetera. It interrupts other stuff, and it reduces your productivity as well. So, just spend 1 or 2 minutes, or just 1 minute. What would be on your stop doing list to reclaim your time? What are the key things that you must stop doing? So, I invite you just to jot a few ideas down as a starter. Okay, can we move on, guys?
Oh,
Right. Okay. So you've got some ideas of the stop doing list, right? Step 3 now is create a high impact week for yourself. Structure your week to be more predictable and under your control so that you can have a high impact week. And this one, guys, is really changed my life. I'll explain that a little bit later when we get to the default diary, right? So think of your days. If you're pretty busy and you're running around all the time, Parkinson's law, if there's empty time, activities will find a way to fill up that time. So there's almost never any downtime as such, right? So think of your days. I want you to structure your days into 3 types of days. Yeah. The first one is what we call power days. The second one is press days, and the third one are unplugged days, right? So the power days, those are the days to get your highest value work done, okay? And remember, this is aimed at creating long-term high impact for your business. This is to break through that growth ceiling, right? And I'll show you how to structure that, right? Second is the press days. So press days are, the normal operational stuff that needs to get done, together with pushing some of these projects, these high value projects that you've thought up during your power days, right? And to move them, forward, right? And then the third one is unplugged days. And especially if you're a hell of a busy business owner or CEO of a business, you can end up working all kinds of crazy hours and weekends and for extended periods of time without a break. But the reality is, if you want to break through your growth ceiling, you need to be able to be fresh and come up with new ideas. And you can't do that when you're completely exhausted and drained continuously. So you want to create at least once a month an unplugged day, maybe a Friday, right? Where you unplug either for that 24 hours or for the entire weekend. And what I mean by that is there's no emails, there's no hopping onto the laptop to do work or anything like that. It's unplugged. It's time focusing on other things, family, going out, whatever you do to rejuvenate, right? It's essential for to have that downtime so that when you come back, that you're re-energized. Right? Okay. So you pick one day of the week to be your power day. It could be a Tuesday or a Wednesday and so on. And you block out a 2 to 4 hour block of time to work on your highest value category activities. And if you're incredibly busy in the beginning, you might not be able to do 4 hours. You might start with 1 or 2 hours. And over time, extend it to 3 and 4 hours as you claim back more time, right? Then you schedule an additional 1 hour power time block on your press days too. So if Wednesday, you're going to put in 3 hours where you're just going to focus on your high value stuff, then maybe the Tuesday you'd put 1 hour in there, and maybe the Thursday you'd put another hour in there to help move some of that work forward, right? Okay. So think about when are you the most awake, the most energized, etc. Because that's the time when you want to work on your high value activities. If you're a night owl or afternoon person, it might be later. If you're a morning person, it might be earlier, right? But pick a day. Mondays and Fridays are usually not good days for that. But some people like Fridays, but pick a day that's going to be your power day, where every week you're going to spend a block of time working on your high value activities. And then your press days, decide which days you're going to put 1 hour in as well to help you move your projects forward. And then unplugged day, pick at least one day, decide on a day that you can actually have as an unplugged day. And if you can't get it during the week, like a Friday, and you're working on weekends, then you say Saturday, 24 hours, from this day, from 5 o'clock on the Friday until, Sunday morning, that's going to be my unplugged time. If you're really overwhelmed. So just take a minute and decide on your power days, your press days, and you can think about your unplugged days during the week. Okay. So guys, the next tool to use is what I call the default diary. And I promise you, this has changed my life. It's, turned it upside down and for the better. And a couple of my clients can also attest and swear to this, that it's just made a fundamental difference to their lives, right? Now, this thing called the default diary, the purpose is to have a structured week that is under your control, and one that enables you to focus your time and attention on the things that really matter, rather than spending your time reacting to everybody else's demands and needs. Right? I used to hate waking up on a Monday morning and then opening the diary to see, this is crept in and that's there. And oh no, where did this come from? I'm not prepared for this. It's just, anxiety provoking. It just drives your whole week crazy. At the end of the week, you come to that end and you've been incredibly busy, but you don't know what you've really achieved, other than achieving everybody else's goals because they needed your time. So what is a default diary then? So it's a diary that looks something like this. You got your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then you break it up into half an hour blocks, 8, 8:30, 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30, etc. Right? Then your day that you've got that you've picked as your power day, first thing you do is you then put your power time, that block of time in there. And you book that time out in your diary. And then you have a look at the time that you have available, let's say the Tuesday and the Wednesday, that one additional hour of power time. Okay. Now, the key to this is you want repeatability in your diary. So you might say, okay, Mondays I'm going to focus on management meetings. Tuesdays I'm going to do operations. Wednesdays I'm going to do product development. Thursdays I'm going to do marketing. Fridays are going to be like more focused on finance and admin. Right? And then you start to put blocks of consistent, repeatable time in your diary, right? So you might say, okay, Monday mornings is weekly management meetings, one-to-one meetings with people, something along those lines. Okay? You might say, okay, Tuesday afternoons, I'm going to keep that open for client meetings. And it might be 2 or 3 days that you do that. You might say a Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, and a Thursday afternoon. I'm going to set aside 3 hours for client meetings. Right? So if you have a lot of client meetings, you need more time. If you have less, you have less time. Right? And you use that block of time to book your client meetings in. Right? And if it doesn't fill up, then you use that time for other things at your discretion. But you don't just allow people to book 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, right? And you wake up, oh, gee, here's a client meeting I didn't even know about. Now, sometimes it's unavoidable that, you can't always 100% keep it like this. There are times where things are going to have to be a little bit out, but generally, if you stick to this as far as possible, you start to know exactly what your week is going to look like. And you start to you get into a rhythm, a mental rhythm and a physical rhythm, and your life just becomes so easy because it's quite systematic. Right? So the first thing to do is to just set your priorities. Like, if you're in that helter-skelter phase, maybe your main goal is to double your sales, right? Your focus has got to be sales. Then your priorities, you might say, okay, the next 90 days, my priorities are going to look like this, right? I'm going to spend at least 30% of time on marketing. I'm going to spend at least 30% on sales team training and sales systems, 20% on filling vacancies, 10% on compliance, and 10% on daily management. And then you can allocate your blocks of time according to those priorities so that you can start adding up your hours and say, okay, this is weighted 30% to marketing, right? So to design that default diary and to really make it work for you, here are a couple of tips. Have a clear start and end time each day. Know when your work starts and when it ends, right? Place your personal commitments first. Like if you've got gym time or family time, etc., dinners at 6 or whatever, put that in, right? That goes in first, and that becomes inviolable, right? Then you block out your 4 hour power time 1 day per week and 1 hour, on 2 other days. Make sure you're saving your best time for those power time activities, the times that you can really concentrate, right? And try, potentially get away from the office during that power time. Let everybody know that's my power time. I'm going to go work on, what we need to do, strategic stuff. Don't call me unless it's an emergency. I'll be back at so-and-so, such and such a time, right? Go sit in a coffee shop or work from home or whatever. It's often useful to avoid Mondays and Fridays. A lot of my clients like to do that because Mondays are generally quite hectic, and Fridays are sometimes too relaxed for some clients, but for others, Fridays works, right? And then try to group common types of activities together. So, Mondays more like team days, Tuesdays more product development type stuff. Try and group similar types of activities together. It just makes it flow a hell of a lot easier, right? Okay, then, so guys, any questions on the on the default diary, and then we can wrap it up.
No, just a point which is you just obviously emphasized again, and we've heard it many, many years. Put the rock, you fill that jar with rocks.
Yes.
Those are the main things. Then you pour something, because I think you might have seen it in your life as well. That video where a guy fills up to his varsity class and he says,
yes,
you think this is full, and then he pours in the next thing. And I think it's so easy to get distracted with all the sand that you can't put the damn rocks in. And you're actually really emphasizing that, that have the rocks, then they have the pebbles, which are probably category 3, and then you have the sand at the end. But you can't if you don't manage the rocks first, you won't get any rocks into the jar because the sand,
it's taking it all up.
So it's just a good analogy.
Exactly. That's a great analogy, David. So, make sure you're carving out time for those rocks. And make sure you're doing the important things first and you're carving out time, because that is what's going to give you the breakthroughs. Spending your time on the firefighting and the daily things that are going to crop up anyway, if you spend all your time on that and that crowds out the important stuff, you're going to be at the same place at the end of the year.
But another thing, another thing which is probably vital for us in a small type business, which we're trying to grow, is roles and responsibility. But at this point in time, I understand you've got to have a clear distinction of roles and responsibilities. But when you've only got 2 on your team, and a third person is the founder, you've got to be clear on some of the responsibilities that you got, that you don't duplicate effort. And frees up Dave to focus on what's needed to be done. It doesn't mean somebody else gets involved. And then you have your, your huddle time to obviously discuss. Yeah, but pertinent, sure.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Especially when you're small, you're sharing work across, you don't have enough people to, you know, a marketing person or this person or that person. You're sharing the work across everybody, right? So it's important to be clear about who does, you know, who's doing what.
Well, for example, today, just, you know, my partner in the business, we do the operational side of the business. The old man does we call it the RP company. Kevin was delivering stuff to Take a Lot, then delivering some stock to a customer, and you know, because we can't outsource that at this point in time, because you know, eventually it'll have to be outsourced, but you've got to find the right people to do it, that it doesn't make you spend an hour in a queue somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Because your time, the value of your time when you're working on those high value activities and you're generating more and more revenue, the value of your time goes up, right?
Yeah.
So if you're doing a 5 million rand turnover, and it took you X amount of hours to help get it to that, right? Then the value of the time is, I don't know, let's say 500 rand an hour or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Now you're standing in a queue, you know, for a low level task that could be done at, you know, 30 rand an hour.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly. That's the issue we having, you know, that sort of internal fight ourselves, saying, but at this point in time, we're trying to grow the brand. So you're trying to, but you've got to do better things to grow the brand rather than stand in queues or do something, but
yes,
probably better
exactly.
delegation.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Sorry for
Not at all.
intruding there, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the fourth step then, sorry, I've got to push on here, because I think
Sorry, Peter.
Yeah, Makalani,
Yes.
yeah.
Just a quick one. I wanted to find out, can you convert the power days, press days, and unplug days into hours, like in a 6 hour day?
Well, I'm not quite sure about convert, but you want to
Can it work if you split the way into
can
power
you split
hour,
it? Can
press
you split
hour,
it?
and
Yeah, you
unplugged
can.
hour?
You
Yes.
can, but it's
Rather
good to.
than having, you know, the whole day unplugged, because it's somehow not favorable when you're starting up or when you are still in the infancy stage, because you find yourself working most of the day.
No, I get that, but your power days should be enough time for you to really concentrate on something uninterrupted, right? So you can't split it into 15-minute blocks. I mean, the 15-minute every day is not going to help you much, right?
Okay.
So, you know, you would need maybe 1-2 hours minimum block of time. And then you can have another 1 or 2 hours, but you need time to focus, right? Because you're going to be focusing on the key things that move the business forward. Right?
All right.
Okay. And then the fourth step is, you know, make the system a habit and a routine. So in other words, continuously look at ways to free up more time. Use that freed up time to invest in more time for high value activities. And get your week to work for you. Don't be at the mercy of everybody else that's just filling up your diary. Right? Get your diary under your control and get everybody else to fit in with the way that you want to structure it so that you can lead your week effectively. Right? So there's a saying, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Right? I think it was James Clear. So this is a system that needs habits and routines to really make it work. But the results can be really spectacular and is essential if you want to break through that growth ceiling. Because if you're not working on the high value activities and you're caught up in the daily whirlwind, you're really not going to be able to move your business forward, and you become the constraint. Especially the business owner becomes the constraint because you only have so much time available. There's a limit, right? And you can't get more. So, habits are the compound interest of improvement and growth. And if you start to follow this, and every 90 days, start to improve those percentages so that you're working more and more on Cat 3 and especially Cat 4 activities, you'll start to see how the compounding effect starts to pick up over time. Right? Initially starts maybe slowly, but then it starts to pick up more and more time because your business is going to grow more. You're going to have more resources so you can delegate more, hire more people, etc., which gives you more room to take things off your plate, delegate, and work on the higher value things again. That's the secret to success. So you need to ask yourself, what would life look like for you if your week was predictable and you had it under your control, not everybody else's whim? You effectively worked 6 hours a day, because you can get to that kind of state with this. If you had regular unplugged days to rejuvenate and spend time with friends and family, and you could 10 times your impact on your business's prosperity and success, what would life look like for you? It's a question you can ask yourself. So I think to close off, what will you commit to doing? What are the top 3 things you're going to do right away? The takeouts from this training. What are the top 3 things that you're going to do that is going to change the way you work the next 90 days? So you want to take a minute for that, and then we'll take some feedback, and then I'll close off. Okay, David, are you okay to share? You don't have to.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I think do a careful assessment of step 1, which is the categories, and put that in place.
Yeah.
Number 2, you talk about reclaim time, and that's what I was thinking about just now, is reclaim some of the time and stop and initiate that stop doing list. That to me, you get sucked into social media stuff, and which is not just for the sake of interest, almost, and it's become a bad habit. Instead of watching the news, I listen to other things via Facebook videos or stories, which are not really important for South Africa or for us. And it distracts me for an hour or 2, which I could be doing 100 other things, more importantly, after hours, So the stop doing list to me is vital. And then obviously, we've got to get our roles and responsibilities tidied up. So one of the things I was thinking, I must sit with my partner and say to him, what are the priorities for us? Let's have a discussion and make sure, and we write it down and commit ourselves to doing those things rather than just be wishy-washy.
Yeah.
Set the priorities to me is what it, it's, I've been around the block, so a lot of it's not new to me, but it's flippant. I enjoyed getting your perspective and easy flowing view on what you should be doing.
Yeah, no, great, David.
Thank you. There's quite a few things. Stop the doing list is vital. Set priorities, number 1. Or number 2, determine the high value items ASAP to go from helter-skelter to elevating the orders we receive.
Yeah. Okay, awesome, great. Sounds like you got a bit of a plan there. That's great.
Sure.
Yeah, good. And one of the future trainings I'm going to be talking about that 90-day planning. That's also very helpful, David. So once you've got these ideas, how to get them done fast, right? So just look out for my mail and maybe hop onto that.
No, but I chuckled. The old founder was involved in coaching and things. That's how I got to meet him many years ago. and he
Yeah.
keeps flogging the same thing. But maybe your listening to you was more easier than having to get some old guy telling me what. And I was saying, well, he's also got to adapt to the new world as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a personal anecdote. Yeah.
Yeah. No, awesome. Thanks for sharing. Makalani, your three things, your top three things.
Yeah, look, I obviously have to go back and assess how I use my time, and align that with the purpose, I mean, the whole business plan, what I need to be doing, and work on that and prioritize my time. Obviously, rearrange.
You just lost you there, Makalani.
Stuff and do the implement going forward. But I must say it has been eye-opening because one realizes why there is no progress, because you are doing the same thing that is not fruitful over and over again, and you wonder why you cannot go to the next stage. So it's been an eye-opener. So one, you just need to go back, assess, prioritize, and also implement.
Yeah. Just look at the phase, if you're in that beginning infancy phase, then it's probably going to be mainly product development type work, proving that clients have got a demand for your services. That kind of thing is the important thing at that phase, right?
Yes, Peter.
Okay, great, guys. Glad you enjoyed the training. I'm going to be sending out some more mails with other types of training as well, which is also related to this. So please feel free to join on that. And I invite you to drop me an email if you want a quick 15-minute call around any key topics that challenges that you're struggling with. Be happy to have a quick chat with you and see if I can give you some advice and help you there as well. Okay, great, guys. So enjoy the rest of the day, and I hope it all goes well with your businesses.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Cheers,
guys. Okay.
Thanks. Cheers, David.
Bye.
Bye.